This morning, Maduro and his wife are in a Brooklyn detention center. The two are set to be arraigned at noon in Lower Manhattan. It comes after the U.S. military carried out an operation in the capital city of Caracas. Venezuela's interim president, former Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, is calling for a peaceful coexistence with the U.S.
All morning long, we have team coverage. Our Christina fan is live outside the courthouse. Our Elijah Westbrook is live from the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Let's start with Elijah and a look at the U.S. operation to capture Maduro. Elijah.
That's right. Good morning to you, Mary and Cindy. I want to tell you this. Security is very tight just outside of the MDC. Right across the street, you can see the barricades. But on the other side of that perimeter there, we've been seeing a lot of movement taking place between police cars going in and out of that area, as well as what appears to be dozens of officers guarding the entranceway to the jail there. So this is certainly giving us an inclination that possibly preparations are underway to transfer Maduro and his wife down to the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Of course, all eyes will be watching closely on those court proceedings and on the world stage. Nicolás Maduro is waking up this morning in a federal jail cell in Brooklyn. The longtime Venezuelan leader and his wife, Celia Flores, were flown to New York Saturday just hours after being captured during a U.S. military operation in Caracas. The video here shows them landing at Stewart International Airport before being booked at DEA offices in Manhattan and then transferred here to the Metropolitan Detention Center. Maduro now faces federal charges, including narco-terrorism. He's been wanted in the U.S. since 2020 with a $50 million reward. On Air Force One Sunday night, President Trump sent this straightforward message.
Don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
The president says the U.S. is now running Venezuela and warned more action is possible if conditions change, a move that is causing concern among a number of U.S. lawmakers who are asking why Congress was not consulted prior to the military operation. It still remains unclear how and for how long the U.S. will take control of Venezuela. Venezuela's defense minister issued a warning to the world Sunday, demanding the release of Maduro and his wife.
It was an act of cowardice, but it also represents a threat to the world order. And what has happened against Venezuela can happen to any other country.
Trump said Sunday that Venezuela's vice president, now interim President Delcy Rodriguez, will cooperate. In a statement released last night, Rodriguez says she hopes to have a balanced and respectful relationship with the U.S. based on sovereign equality and non-interference.
I don't see a world where troops are going into Venezuela other than perhaps security forces protecting civilians and individuals that are going to work within the petroleum industry.
And back out here live. So again, there are a few things that we're watching closely. Of course, that transfer of Maduro and his wife down to Lower Manhattan, which is where the court proceedings will take place, specifically an arraignment at noon, and how the White House defines its next steps. We're live right now in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Elijah Westbrook, CBS News, New York.
Elijah, thank you. And Maduro and his wife will appear in federal court this afternoon to face drug and weapons charges, including narco-terrorism. It comes as members of the Trump administration are now defending their decision to charge Maduro. Christina Fan is live outside federal court in Lower Manhattan. Christina?
Cindy, good morning. This federal courthouse behind us has been the site of many high-profile cases in the past, but none quite like this one. Security is always tight in and around the building, and today will certainly be no exception, as several rallies supporting and opposing the Venezuelan leader's arrest will be happening at the same time as his arraignment, which is scheduled for noon. Nicolás Maduro is facing a total of 4 counts, including narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and 2 weapons-related charges. Federal prosecutors allege that for more than 25 years, he and other leaders of Venezuela worked with drug traffickers and narco-terrorists to flood the United States with thousands of tons of cocaine, and by doing so, enriched himself, his family, and members of Venezuela's political and military elite. The indictment also details specific actions that Maduro allegedly took part of, including selling diplomatic passports to known drug traffickers to to help them move drug proceeds from Mexico back to Venezuela. On Face the Nation Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio defended the Trump administration's decision to arrest the Venezuelan leader.
We have a country, potentially a very rich country, that has cozied itself up under the control of this regime, has cozied up to Iran, has cozied up to Hezbollah, has allowed narco trafficking gangs to operate with impunity from their own territory.
4 other defendants were also named in this indictment, including Maduro's son, Venezuela's interior minister, its former interior minister, and a leader of the gang, Tren de Aragua. It's unclear whether the U.S. has arrested Maduro's son, but the 3 other defendants have not been taken into custody. Again, Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, are expected to be arraigned at noon today. These initial hearings tend to be brief. The judge will typically read the defendants their rights. Afterwards, Maduro and Flores are expected to enter a plea. Reporting live from Lower Manhattan, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
Christina, thank you. The United Nations Security Council will meet today to discuss the situation involving the U.S. and Venezuela. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the Trump administration's move to remove Maduro from power to face narco-terrorism charges sets, quote, a dangerous precedent. Colombia called for today's Security Council meeting with the backing of Russia and China. The Security Council has met twice recently, in October and December, over the growing tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela.
6:08 right now, and rallies are expected today here in New York City, where reaction to the U.S. military's action in Venezuela remains mixed. Many Venezuelans say they're celebrating a chance for change, but others are questioning what happens next.
It's a long way still to go, but this is a huge first step.
The same guys are still in power, so I don't know what's going to happen. I think we're going to have to wait and see and what Trump and the government is going to do.
How can somebody be celebrating a crime, the kidnapping of a president?
The rally in support of Maduro's arrest is set for 10:30 this morning in Lower Manhattan. An hour later, those denouncing his capture are gathering to protest in Foley Square.
Be sure to stay with CBS News New York as we follow the court arraignment today for Nicolás Maduro and his wife. We'll have a live special report at noon.